Administering an Informal Reading Inventory by Dympnavernon. The process of administration of the Informal Reading Inventory. First step, establish a rapport with the child. Next, administer the word recognition inventory. Third, administer the oral and silent reading passages. And lastly, determine a child's comprehension through listening with the listening capacity test. Establishing a rapport. The term rapport can be defined as a relationship, especially one of mutual trust or emotional affinity. This simply means that the child to whom you are administering the IRI must feel comfortable with you. If you are a stranger to the child, you may not get results that are meaningful. Administering the word recognition inventory. The WRI should be given in a quiet area, and the word list should be covered as the method of presentation to the student. Words should be flashed to the student and need to be shown clearly and completely. The student should be able to respond immediately. If the student gets the response correct, a check mark will be placed beside that word, and the teacher will immediately move on to the next word. If the initial response is incorrect, but the student makes an immediate unprompted correction, a check mark with a plus sign next to it will be placed next to the word, and then move on to the next word. If the student responds incorrectly and does not independently correct his or herself, the word should be re-exposed. A reasonable amount of time should be given for the student to look at the word and attempt to analyzing it using whatever skills he or she may have. If this response is correct, a check mark with a minus sign will be placed next to the word, and the test will proceed. If the student is still unable to decode the word after the untimed exposure, a 0 will be recorded. After the list words have been responded to, the total number of correct responses will be recorded, and that will be the student's WRI score for that level. The WRI will be administered until the student is unable to identify 4 or more words at a level. The oral reading will begin at the highest level the student has made no errors. Oral and silent reading passages. The student will begin to read the oral passages at the highest level he or she scored 0 on the WRI. The teacher introduces a passage, asks the child to read the passage aloud, and then answer questions based on what was read. While the child reads aloud, the teacher must record any reading error the child makes. If the child's word recognition in oral reading is at the independent or instructional levels, the child is asked comprehension questions. Administering the listening capacity test. This is given to determine a child's comprehension through listening. Determining a child's ability to comprehend or understand material that is read out loud assists the teacher in gauging the child's capacity to listen to instruction and/or oral reports. Additionally, a listening capacity test can help to identify those students who are able to better understand material that is read to them rather than when they are reading. This is helpful when planning methods of instruction for the students. The passages from the IRI are used to determine a child's listening capacity. The passages are evaluated using the same method used for the silent and oral reading passages, except the selections are read aloud by the teacher. My results. I did the informal reading inventory on Anna, a 6-year-old girl who attends public school here on Long Island in New York. She is a typically developing white female who comes from a nuclear family. Her family consists of herself, her mother, and her father. Her mother recently lost her job due to the economy, but other than that, there are no other issues at home. Anna is a free spirit who loves to dance, daydream, and pretend to be Hannah Montana. I am a family friend, and her mother confided to me that she believes that Anna may have trouble when she enters the 2nd grade this September. My results. The level at which the WRI was begun was pre-primer. Level at which oral reading was begun was also pre-primer. For oral reading, word recognition, independent level was pre-primer, 100%. Instructional level was primer, 96%, and frustration level was first, 90%. For oral reading comprehension, independent level was pre-primer, instructional was primer, frustration level was first. Silent reading comprehension, independent level was not applicable. Instructional level was pre-primer. Frustration level was primer. Listening capacity level was 2.1. Analysis. Anna enjoyed being able to read all the words in the pre-primer portion of the WRI. She was even more pleased when she was able to read the passage orally without difficulty. Her word recognition reading orally was independent for the pre-primer level, instructional for the primer level, and frustration for the first reader level. As soon as we moved on to comprehension questions, her demeanor changed. She was able to answer the comprehension questions for the oral section with relative ease. She got all of the questions correct for the pre-primer level, and only 2 questions were missed on the primer level. but by the time we got to the first reader level, she was unable to get half the comprehension questions correct. She did not really want to read silently. She wanted to have me listen to her read aloud. It is in the silent reading passage comprehension questions that she really began to struggle. It wasn't that it was too difficult for her, it was more that she doubted herself so much that she did not want to think about the question. I did not administer the silent reading portion any higher than the primer level because she had reached her frustration point. As for the listening capacity portion, Anna was able to score on the 2.1 level for listening, even though the test was not administered orally or silently for that reading level.